Hello there and welcome. This is the Disability Law Show. So good to have you along again this week. I'm John Scholes. With me, disability lawyer Sivan Tumarkin from Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. You can reach out anytime. In fact, you're encouraged to talk to Sivan and his team. Have that chat on your own time. 1-855-821-5900. You prefer the email route? Possible. help@disabilityrights.ca, and I'll give you some more contact information throughout the half hour you can use. The main topic we're going to get into here in a few minutes is top 3 reasons you should hire a disability lawyer. Make sure you stick around and stay tuned for that. It's vital information, and you never know when it's going to come in super handy. We'll get to that and some emails throughout the show as well. But first, Sivan, as always, we start off with the other week that was, our case of the day. Pal, what do you got this week?
John, it's been a very, very busy week.
Cool.
And what I wanted to talk about now is something that I see quite often that happens with people who are on long-term disability. First of all, people out there who are watching, I know that there are some people who have just tuned in for the first time and some people who have been watching this show for many months and maybe even years. And there's one lady in particular that I have been in touch with for the last probably 1.5 years, maybe even 2 years. And that's, by the way, something that people don't necessarily believe or understand, is that we don't charge anything for talking to people, for giving advice, for guiding them, for helping them. And this particular lady, she's been on long-term disability for quite a while, and every so often, couple of months or so, I get an email from her, and she asks me questions, and she's asking for direction. And you know, where there's another lawyer will say, you know, just leave me alone. I've already given you enough advice. I've already spent enough time. We don't take that approach. I'd be very angry if any lawyer in my office, if it came back to me that any one of them said, I don't have time for you, or this is a stupid question, because none of these things are stupid. And I'm going to read you an email that she had sent me. I'm going to change the name. I'm not going to mention the name of the insurance company. Sure. I'm certainly not going to mention her name. Nope. But I literally received this last week. And, you know, this is an ongoing issue that she has with her insurance company. So here's what she writes. She says, hi, Sivan. She says, I've been going to a psychiatrist, and I send his reports to my long-term disability insurer. I am waiting for another report to send into them. At my last appointment, he said I won't be going back to work as a result of PTSD, OCD, major depressive disorder, and high anxiety. I asked him if he would put that in my report so that my insurance company would stop calling me. They always seem to call me on a Friday, and if I miss a call, I worry about it all weekend. Do you think that they will stop with that note? And also, by the way, she says, FYI, I got approved for the disability tax credit. And so the crux of it is that you're dealing with somebody that has clearly various mental health issues, psychological issues she's dealing with. And I know this for a fact because I've reviewed some of her medical documents from before. And you can see how she's struggling with her insurance company, that if she misses a call on a Friday, she can't sleep, she can't function. And again, I know this, and I feel bad for her. And all I said to her, look, keep in mind one thing. Aside from all the advice that I'm giving you and direction I'm telling you, we are here for you. If the insurance company does something that's illegal or they're not allowed to do, we will jump in. Not just myself, there's a whole team that can jump in. We operate in Ontario, in BC, in Calgary, in virtually every territory and province in the country. We are able to help people with their long-term disability issues. And so the question she has here, well, I'm going to give my insurance company a note from my psychiatrist that outlines all these conditions that I have. Will they stop calling me? They won't. Unfortunately, they won't. That's what they do. Insurance companies will continue asking for documentation. They're allowed to do it, again, within reason. They can't ask you for a note every single week, obviously. But this does place a lot of stress, and it does cause a lot of anxiety, especially when the adjuster or whoever you're dealing with is not the nicest person, especially when they are dealing with you in a condescending way or in a pushy way or in a way that doesn't seem like it exudes any sympathy or understanding. You have certain rights. That's the message here. To her, I keep telling her that you have rights. They can't simply belittle you. They can't simply ask you for things that they're not allowed to ask for under the law and under the policy, the insurance policy you have. And so I explained to her that it's a good thing that her psychiatrist is helping her. It's a good thing that she's going to give that note to the insurance company. It will not end them asking for documentation. But if there's any issues at any point, we can jump in and we can help and we will help.
Does that adjuster scenario, right now she's just dealing with the adjuster. Is it very common for an adjuster to address something like that? Not saying it's a bad thing, but maybe they have 100 cases, which you've mentioned on your desk, and you're simply, not to be too cold about it, but you're kind of a number at that point. So that's how they're going to deal with you. They want to just keep moving her along.
You are 100% a number.
Right.
You are less than a number. And again, listen, every time I talk about this, I get emails from angry adjusters or even some defense lawyers telling me that they disagree with me.
Well, you've been there.
Yeah, I've been there. I was a defense lawyer in the past, but it's funny because whenever they tell me that, I say, great, I made my point. If you disagree with me, then that's good. Because clearly you don't want me to tell people out there that they have rights. You don't want me to tell people out there that you can't just do whatever you want to do to them. And look, not every adjuster is bad. Not every defense lawyer is bad. I have defense lawyers who are friends. I have adjusters who are friends that I text with. In fact, I do have some adjusters sometimes that come to me for advice. John, we had a gentleman last week, I know I'm segueing here, but last week that works for WCB in BC. So workers' compensation, he's been himself an adjuster, a case manager for over 20 years. You know why he contacted us? Because he's now on LTD for mental health issues, he's having issues with his insurance company for these exact reasons.
Wow.
So this affects everyone, but we are here to protect people. We protect people against insurance companies. We push back, we hit back, and we will tell people what their rights are. This is not brain surgery. It's not difficult. But, all that said, you also want to make sure that when you contact a lawyer, that's why I tell people, feel free to contact us. We'll help you in every way we can. It won't cost you anything to chat with any one of us. But we're not the only lawyers out there, except that you want to make sure you go to the right people.
Right.
If you go to a lawyer that says, we deal with disability, and we deal with real estate, and we deal with family law.
Part of the menu, yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none, right? I mean, it's like medicine. You need to go to a specialist, somebody who knows the area of law. That's what we deal with. We do disability law, injury law, and employment law. That's it. We don't do anything else. So for anyone out there, you're having any questions, any concerns about your long-term disability, dealing with your adjuster, any questions whatsoever, if you've been cut off, if you've been denied, or if you know someone in that situation, contact us. It doesn't cost anything. That's the key thing. Empower yourself, get this information.
Now, this person so far is just a question through email. Hey, Sivan, how does this work? How does that work? If that person ends up getting sick of this and they become a client of yours, the whole thing with them reaching out and nonstop with the insurance company, hounding them for things, that stops. Right?
Yes.
Isn't that one of the side benefits of actually hiring a lawyer in this case?
Yes. So let me backtrack for a second. We are lawyers. So, I mean, call a spade a spade. This is something, it's great that we're giving this information out, but people obviously contact us. So, we do help people, and it is a business for us as well. But I will tell you this, I will tell someone not to hire us if that in fact is the best choice for them. In other words, it's not all about telling people hire us all the time. If I can help you without you having to hire us, I will do that. And same goes for every one of our lawyers. We're not eager to have you sign a piece of paper. We want to help you. But if the situation comes and we need to be engaged, we'll tell you that. You make a decision. If we become engaged, let's say you've been denied or you've been told that your benefits will be cut off and you can't go back to work, and we need to get into the picture, as soon as we are retained, as soon as you sign a document that says Samfiru Tumarkin represents you, the insurance company is no longer allowed to contact you. They cannot call you, they cannot email you, they cannot send any letters to you. They must go through us. So if you think that they applied pressure on you, you just wait until we apply pressure back.
The number 1-855-821-5900, anytime to reach out to Sivan and his team. help@disabilityrights.ca. Okay, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. We talk about this on this show. It's normally on the employment law show with Lior, but there's a bit of crossover, and the reason why that thing was engineered to be put on this show, there's a section that's very useful to you as well, right?
It is. I'm not in love with giving Lior compliments, but he did do a very smart thing here a few years back, came up with this ingenious idea of letting people, or creating a tool out there, a website, a free website, where people can get answers, quick answers and accurate answers to their employment law issues, a customized program. But we understood very quickly, obviously, that many people who have employment issues also have questions about their long-term disability cases, and vice versa. People who are on LTD have issues with their employers. And so the Pocket Employment Lawyer, if you go on and just Google that, you'll get to it. If you go on it, you can ask your questions that are specific to your case. You don't have to put any identifying data on it. You don't have to put your name or your phone number. You could, if you wanted to get in touch with us afterwards, but if you don't, that's okay. It allows you to get accurate and quick answers to your long-term disability questions, as well as to your employment law questions, within seconds. And if afterwards, after you get your answer, you want to get in touch with us, click the button, and you'll be put through. Otherwise, close the browser and we will not know that you were there, but it is ingenious. And people have been using this now, I can tell you, John, thousands of users, thousands of times
Billions,
across
actually,
the country.
yeah.
We've even had people outside of Canada try and use it. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply outside of Canada, but it's that popular now. So I encourage everyone to just check it out.
PocketEmploymentLawyer.ca is the name of that website. Again, Andrew, first email of the show, Savannah, let's get into this. Says, my sister's long-term disability claim was recently denied. She's on debilitating medication for panic attacks and severe anxiety disorder. We don't understand the reason for denial, and the insurer is encouraging her to appeal. Is this her best option?
Absolutely not. And I really appreciate the fact that Andrew reached out to us, because that's how many people end up getting help. It's when family members or concerned friends or colleagues end up reaching out to us on behalf of these individuals who are in a very bad state, right? I mean, these people are on disability for a reason, particularly when you're dealing with mental health issues, which is a very big thing. In fact, the majority of our cases are mental health types of disabilities and cases. So, you know, there's a reason here, Andrew, why the insurance company is telling your sister that she can appeal. In virtually every long-term disability denial, the letter that the person gets denying their claim with an explanation contains 1 or 2 paragraphs at the bottom of the letter that says you can appeal this decision. Here's the thing, here's the secret here, here's why they want to tell you that. They don't want you to start a legal claim. They don't want you to go to a lawyer that can help you, that can advocate for you. They want you to go through this appeal process if you're going to engage in anything at all. Why? Because it's a closed system. They're putting you like a rat in a maze. It's a maze they control. It's not going to an independent body. It's not going to a court. It's not going to a tribunal. It's not even going to the ombudsperson of the insurance company. It's getting revisited by either the same people who denied the claim in the first place or their colleagues in the next room. So why, John, I'm asking, would an insurance company have absolutely any incentive to reverse their decision?
Right.
Well, in some cases they do reverse, and I like to say, in some cases you can win the lottery too. Do you really want to stake your future on that? So, you know, people, by the way, have contacted us before who have appealed, who feel embarrassed about contacting us. Do not feel embarrassed. The majority of people who contact us do it after having appealed once and twice and 3 times and having been rejected. Yeah. What generally happens is we tell them, look, you have a case. We review the case. You have a case. You were denied about a year ago. The reality is, had you come to us back then, you probably would have had money in your pocket at this point, because it takes us usually under a year in general to get these to a resolution. But, you know, if you haven't, that's okay. Get back to us. Let us speak with you. Now, if you're thinking about appealing, at the very least, speak with us. If you want to appeal, that's okay. Maybe we can give you some tips. We don't think it's the right approach. We think that that's just going to be a detour for you, but that's okay. If you want to do it, at least do it the right way. Let's give it the best shot that we can. So, Andrew, let me speak with your sister. I can speak with her at any point, at any time after the show, and I can help her. I can tell her exactly what her options are. But to answer your question, the insurance company is telling her she can appeal, and they're focusing on the appeal option because it's the most advantageous to them, other than her giving up on her claim altogether.
Andrew, appreciate that, pal. You can reach out anytime. As we get to a break here, we're coming back with the top 3 reasons you should hire a disability lawyer. That number, though, 1-855-821-5900. And the email is help@disabilityrights.ca. Lots more of the show is coming up. Stick around. We are coming right back. People think you should go to the government to get severance pay. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Government can only help you get minimum severance, but not everything you're entitled to. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. If your long-term disability claim is denied, should you appeal?
Appeals often fail because insurance companies control the process. So long as you appeal, you're playing by their rules.
You should never appeal the denial of your disability benefits. Appeals are just a mirage of false hope.
Don't. That's their process. Take it out of their hands and fight for your rights with our help.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think their employer can make changes to their job. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Your employer can't change your pay, hours, or duties. You may be entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. All right, welcome back. Disability Law Show. Good to have you along for the ride. The number to reach out during and after the show, for that matter, for Sivan and his team, 1-855-821-5900, help@disabilityrights.ca, or simply disabilityrights.ca. You can use that website anytime you like. All right, Sivan, main topic for today's show, as mentioned, top 3 reasons you should hire a disability lawyer. Number 1, once a legal claim is started, your disability lawyer takes over all communication between you and the insurance adjuster. That's why we talked about that, right?
We talked about that, and that's something that I think a lot of people either miss or that's all they focus on.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that one of the first cases I've ever done years ago, a disability case, I remember it was not far from our office. I met with these folks in their home. It was a mental health issue that the lady was dealing with. I met with her and her husband. They were in their early 50s. And I think I spent close to 2 hours speaking with them, answering all their questions, explaining the process, very methodically, drawing diagrams, just so that they understand and are fully comfortable. And before I was about to leave, and of course I told them, I don't want you to sign anything right now. Even if you want to hire me, I want you to think about it and let me know if you have any questions. If you want to sign now, sure, but no pressure. And I remember just before I left, they said, just one last question. And they paused. And her husband said, so if we retain you, we don't get any more phone calls from the insurance company? The adjuster's going to stop calling?
Yeah.
Like they're not going to talk to us anymore? That's the only thing they care about. Not the fact that I said to them that, the wife's claim was worth upwards of $300,000. Not that I told them that it's going to be a fairly easy case for me to resolve, specifically because I knew and had certain case law that was in my back pocket that could help us against the insurance company. Nothing. The only thing they focused on was the fact that I would be taking over all communications. They would get no emails, phone calls, letters, nothing. Yeah. They would simply not have to worry about a thing, and they can focus on her getting better. Then I have other people who forget about that. And I had one lady contact me. I know we have other things to go through, but I got to tell you this. Another lady that contacted me that had hired another lawyer before she came to us, before she saw the show. And this lady told me that she had hired a lawyer to deal with her long-term disability claim. That person clearly didn't know what they were doing. This lawyer not only went through an appeal process that he recommended that they do, but he allowed the insurance adjuster to continue contacting his client. And I was thinking to myself, what is she paying you for? First of all, she shouldn't be paying you anything. Number 2, even if she is paying you something, it shouldn't be anything like out of pocket. It should be if you recover anything for her, right? Because people don't have money to pay lawyers as the case goes on. And secondly, why are you letting this insurance company, this adjuster, deal with your client? That's a big no-no. And insurance companies know that, but they also know that they can take advantage of lawyers that don't know what they're doing. So yes, once we take over, once we are retained, we are the ones dealing with all of the communications with the insurance company from beginning to end.
Number 2, why you want to hire a disability lawyer is this: insurance companies are obligated to provide all necessary documentation to the disability lawyer.
Yes. And here's the thing to understand. People feel violated when they have to give their medical documentation to the insurance company because, when you're making a claim, you have to open up the books. They're entitled to see what your doctors are saying within reason, right? It has to be relevant. But they're entitled to it. You can't simply hide that. But they don't have to give you their documents. They don't have to give you their file. Oftentimes, they have you seen by one of their doctors. They don't even give you the report from their doctor. And people sort of feel a bit vulnerable when it comes to that. Well, if we get involved and we start a legal action, a legal claim, within that legal process, they are obligated to give us their entire file. Here's why that's important. Now we get to go with a fine-tooth comb and look for all the skeletons in their closet. And boy, oh boy, do we find skeletons. My partner, James Fireman, Tamar, other lawyers in my office, I love getting phone calls from them, which I get on a weekly basis, that they're giddy when they look through some of these insurance company files. They're like, I got a smoking gun. I can show that the insurance company acted in a high-handed way. I'm going to go for punitive damage. I'm going to nail them to the wall. Like for us, it's a hunting sport when we get the insurance company's file, and they cannot prevent us from getting their file. They must disclose it once we start the legal process. It's just the way that the rules have it. Yeah. There has to be full disclosure. And so, before you have a legal claim, if it's just you dealing with them, they don't have to give you anything. Maybe a copy of the policy, and even that, for some people, it's difficult to get. So yes, they have to give us everything, and we go through everything. And I'll tell you, when we find some of these things, oftentimes we end the battle before it even starts, because they understand that if we take this through the legal channels, they're going to end up paying a ton more at the end.
Number 3, we'll get through this one, says a disability lawyer can determine where the insurance company has erred and in some cases, as you mentioned, pursue punitive damages.
And that's the key thing here. You know, people contact us for help because they're not getting paid the benefits that they're owed. Sometimes when we go through the insurance company's files or when we look at the fact scenarios, you know, from our perspective, the insurance company has done something egregious. Not in every case. In some cases, insurance companies just make mistakes. That's very different than insurance companies acting in a bad faith way that may attract what's called punitive damages, which are damages or an award that a court can impose on an insurance company to punish them for conduct that is just simply very, very bad. And so when we go through their file, when we get to examine their adjusters, we get to get that out. Like, we get the details, and we can create a picture, if a picture is there to be created, of why our client needs to get not only the benefits that he or she is entitled to under the policy, but above that, any damages above that, to compensate them from the mental distress, for the breach of peace of mind, right? When you buy insurance, when you get insurance, whether it's house insurance, disability insurance, car insurance, you're buying peace of mind. That's the product they're selling you, or they're selling your employer as part of the group benefits plan. Our job is to look for ways to not only get you the benefits you're owed, but to see if we can get even more than that.
Mm-hmm. You bet.
That's how we operate.
And there you go. Quick break. We're going to get lots more of the Disability Law Show on the other side of this short one right here. Here's the number, 1-855-821-5900, or reach out to email anytime, help@disabilityrights.ca. We're coming right back. People think contractors aren't owed severance. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Many contractors are actually employees and are entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. How do you force insurance companies to pay long-term disability claims?
Insurance companies deny legitimate claims all the time. They're playing the odds. They know that most people are just going to walk away.
Your insurer may ignore you, they may even ignore your doctors, but they can't ignore us.
We know how insurance companies work. We know their weaknesses. We know how to use the legal process to force them to pay you what you're owed.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you are only owed 2 weeks' pay when you lose your job. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. You may be owed much more than 2 weeks per year. Don't settle for less. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. And welcome back to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes here alongside Sivan Tumarkin, Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. Anytime you want to reach out, you can phone them, 1-855-821-5900, help@disabilityrights.ca. There is another website you can use, as always, free and anonymous for you to ask your questions through mydisabilityquestions.com. You can use your smartphone, your tablet, or your desktop. Again, mydisabilityquestions.com. Sophia has done just that. Here's how it goes. Sivan says, my doctor believes I'm ready to return to work, but with restrictions and on a part-time basis. After speaking to my boss, he doesn't think he can accommodate my requests. Even if I lose my job and I'm still not able to work full-time, will my benefits be cut off?
That's really, really interesting. It's a good question, Sophia, and I appreciate the fact that you sent it in. So first of all, it's great that you're ready to try and go back to work, even on a part-time basis. Yep. This is interesting. Remember, we talked about the pocket employment lawyer and how people have questions. This is exactly the kind of question that you can input into the pocket employment lawyer, and it has two components. It has the disability law component and the employment law component. And by the way, our lawyers across our offices are equipped to deal with both issues, and the ones that perhaps are more slanted towards employment can always put you in touch with somebody who does disability law and vice versa. I can answer both of these questions. So let me explain this. Companies, employers in Canada have a duty under the law to accommodate you up to the point of undue hardship. Where is that point? That depends. That's very fact specific, depends on the size of the company, depends on the kind of modifications you need, hours, all that kind of stuff. But the question becomes here, okay, what if the employer cannot accommodate? What happens at that point? Well, that leads us to the analysis that we would have an employment lawyer do as to whether or not there is a legal claim against the employer here. In terms of the insurance company, though, what happens if you do go back to work and you are unsuccessful? And we see that happen sometimes when the insurance company says you need to go back to work, when your doctor thinks you're ready to go back, you try to go back, but then you're not ready and something happens. Well, that's why we have what's called a recurrence clause, a recurrence provision that every LTD policy should have, generally has. I don't think I've ever seen a policy that doesn't have it. And what it says is that if within a certain period of time of you trying to go back to work, you fail in that attempt, you should be able to go back on LTD without any penalty, without the elimination period. In other words, without, like, you should have the benefits paid to you immediately, right? They snap back. You don't have to wait 90 days or 60 days or however long you had to wait at the beginning to get LTD. Sometimes insurance companies do take issue with that. They will tell you, no, we don't think that you tried hard enough. And so, in other words, you're getting squeezed from the insurance company, not being paid benefits, and then the employer says, well, we can't accommodate you any longer. So people are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that's where we come in. That's where we tell you, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do with the employer. Here's what we're going to do with the insurance company. And here's the order, and here's a strategy. And here's why this is important. And Sophia, I'm talking directly to you and anybody else that has this question. If you just go to an employment lawyer that doesn't understand long-term disability, they may miss certain parts. In other words, they may strategize correctly on the employment law issue with the employer about undue hardship, accommodation, all that, not understanding that the strategy they're going to implement for you and act for you on is going to impact in a negative way on your disability claim, and vice versa. You may have a situation with your insurance company, you do something with them, that may impact your employment. And so that's why I tell people the uniqueness of what we do in our law firm, across our offices, is that we are equipped to deal with both issues. If you don't deal with both issues, or at least contemplate both issues, you may be in a position where you think you're getting something on one end only to have it taken away from you on the other end. Really, really critical, because we've had people come to us from other law firms where this thing exactly happened, where the lawyers got their money, the insurance company or the employer got their way, and the individual was left with nothing, even less than nothing. So really critical for us to get in touch with each other. After the show, Sophia, I can explain more. I need to get more information about the company that you're dealing with, about your disability and exactly what the doctor has said, and then I can tell you what you need to do. Again, it doesn't cost anything. I'm not going to charge anything. I just want you to have this information. If at some point in the future you need to retain us to help you, no problem, we can help you. Until then, free information. Take it as that.
Let's get a quick email in here before we wrap for the day. Sivan, Robin writes in and says, guys, I was asked to attend an assessment by my insurer after being on LT for almost 6 months. I'm waiting for treatments to begin for a herniated disc that is causing extreme pain. My doctors believe I'm nowhere ready to return to work, so I'm unsure why I'm being pushed for another examination. Can I refuse this request?
So one thing I'm not clear about is whether or not Robin has been sent to another assessment. In other words, whether or not the assessment the insurance company is asking her to go to is in fact a secondary assessment or not.
Okay.
Generally, you can't, in fact, stop those. But I would suggest to Robin to contact me directly, because there's a lot of things to cover here. I know we're running out of time, John, but this is something that we can definitely help with. Ultimately, if she refuses the request, she may be cut off. But again, she may have grounds to refuse it if it's a secondary or a third assessment. But if her doctors are saying she's not ready to go back to work, she's not ready to go back to work. And if she's forced to, or pressured to, or her benefits are cut off, we can act on her behalf. And we've done that many times, where insurance companies have essentially pressured people to try and go back to work. People feel they have no choice. You have a choice. If your doctors say that you're not ready, and they tell you, the insurance company says, we're going to cut off your benefits, and they give you a date for that even, they are in what's called an anticipatory breach mode situation. It means that they breach their obligation on the contract. We can then act on your behalf to force them to continue benefits or pay you a settlement.
Is it common for them to ask to go to one of their doctors?
Yeah, very, very common, and you need to be prepared for that, and we can help you with that.
And there you go. Thank you so much, Robin, for writing in. Again, you can always do this before, during, and after the show. We always invite your emails. How do you send them along? help@disabilityrights.ca. That phone number, as Sivan always mentioned, just pick it up. It's not going to charge you anything just to have that phone call, get some more information on your side. 1-855-821-5900. And in an earlier segment, right, we referred to and used mydisabilityquestions.com. That is unique in the fact that it has a searchable database, which means a question similar to yours may have been asked in the past, and you can save yourself some time. If not, type it in there, leave it, and Sivan's team will get to it. Again, mydisabilityquestions.com. And we will catch you next time on the Disability Law Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy.